She was 2 weeks away from launching. 2 weeks. 24 months of work. Every night after the kids were in bed. Every weekend. Every stolen hour at 5 a.m. before the house woke up. The product was ready. The website was live. The investors were circling. And then someone got there first. Not a stranger. Not a competitor she had never met. Someone she had dinner with 3 months earlier, on a night when the excitement got too big to hold and she needed just one person to understand how good the idea actually was. She told them everything, not out of stupidity, not out of carelessness, out of the very human need to be witnessed in your becoming. And that witness, that person sitting across the table who smiled and said, "That is incredible. You're going to change everything," had already filed the incorporation papers by the time she got home that night. She found out the way most women find out. A mutual friend, a LinkedIn notification, a Google alert with a name that was not hers, attached to an idea that was hers. This is Law 3 of the 48 Laws of Power. Conceal your intentions, or, as we are saying it in this series, do not tell them your plans. Before you think this law is asking you to become secretive, paranoid, or closed off, stop. Because there is a version of this law that turns you into someone isolated and impossible to know. And there is a version that turns your dreams into a fortress nobody can enter before you are ready. Today, we are building the second version. Here is what this law is actually about. Your plans, before they are executed, are the most fragile thing you own. An idea before it becomes a product is a seed. And seeds do not survive being pulled out of the ground every time someone wants to look at them. The moment you tell someone your plan, 3 things happen almost immediately. First, they form an opinion about whether it will work. And most people's opinions are shaped by their own fears, not your potential. Second, they place you in the category of person with that plan, which makes you knowable, predictable, manageable in their mind. Third, if they carry any competition or insecurity toward you, even unconsciously, you have just handed them the map to your destination and given them a head start. And here is the part nobody talks about. Most of the people who benefit from your early disclosure are not your enemies. They are your friends, your colleagues, your mentors, people who genuinely mean well. But intention and impact are not the same thing. A friend who mentions your plan casually to the wrong person has not betrayed you intentionally, but you have still lost something, because you shared it before it was strong enough to survive being known. Let me tell you about a woman whose silence made her $1 billion. In 1998, Sara Blakely was selling fax machines door to door in Atlanta, Georgia. She was 27 years old. She had failed the LSAT twice. She had auditioned to become a Disney World character and been turned away. By every conventional measure, she was going nowhere. One evening, getting ready for a party, trying to figure out what to wear under white trousers, she cut the feet off a pair of control-top pantyhose, and the idea struck her like lightning. Footless shapewear, a product that did not exist yet, a product that she knew, in that moment, that every woman would want. Here is what she did next. She told almost nobody, not her colleagues, not her closest friends, not her family, not the full picture, not the real scale of what she was planning to build. She spent every evening and every weekend developing the product using $5,000 of her own savings. She drove herself across state lines to visit hosiery mills and told manufacturers it was a small personal project. She bought a book on patents and filed the application herself to avoid telling even a lawyer more than she had to. For nearly 2 years, the real magnitude of what Sara Blakely was building existed almost entirely inside her own mind. She did not post about it. She did not pitch it at networking events. She did not share it with the women who might have encouraged her or the ones who might have doubted her, because she had understood something profound. She could not always tell the difference, so she protected the dream, in total, deliberate, strategic silence. When she was finally ready, product complete, packaging designed, pitch rehearsed to perfection, she walked into Neiman Marcus. The buyer gave her 10 minutes. She asked to use the bathroom, changed into the prototype on the spot, came back out and showed the buyer the before and after standing right there in the room. Neiman Marcus placed the order. In her first year, Spanx generated $4 million in revenue. Today, Sara Blakely is the first female self-made billionaire in American history. And in interview after interview, when asked what made the real difference, not the product, not the pitch, not the packaging, she says the same thing. She says, "I protected the baby." Unfinished dreams, she has said, cannot survive other people's doubt. The moment you share a plan that is not yet real, you hand it to everyone, including the people whose doubt is stronger than your belief. She refused to do that, and the tree that grew from the seed she protected is now worth $1.2 billion. Now, let me take you somewhere even more extraordinary. France, 1943, German occupation. A woman sits in a Gestapo interrogation room. She is calm, composed. The Gestapo believes she is a British journalist with a history of tuberculosis. They are wrong about almost everything. Her real name is Christine Granville. She is the British government's most decorated female intelligence agent of the entire Second World War. For years she has moved through occupied Europe like a ghost, carrying intelligence across borders, smuggling Allied pilots to safety, coordinating resistance networks that the Nazis were desperately hunting. Her real plans, her real identity, her real mission, completely concealed from the Germans, from casual contacts, from anyone who did not absolutely need to know. Now she is in an interrogation room and the pressure is real. She gives them nothing. But when she senses the interrogation tipping towards something she cannot talk her way through, she bites her own tongue. Hard, deliberately, until the blood comes. She coughs it onto a handkerchief. The Gestapo releases her. Tuberculosis, they conclude. Not worth the risk. Christine Granville walked out of that interrogation room, returned to her position, and continued her mission. The network survived. The people she was protecting survived. The intelligence reached the right hands, because she had trained herself, completely without exception, to reveal nothing about her plans, her purpose, or her next move until the moment was exactly right. She did not lie to survive. She withheld the truth until she had the power to use it. That is not paranoia. That is concealment as a form of protection. The question is not whether you are willing to do the same. The question is, what are you currently carrying that deserves that level of protection? So, how do you apply this in your professional life? Right now, starting today, 3 moves. Write them down. Move 1. Share results. Never plans. From today, 1 non-negotiable rule. You do not announce what you are going to do. You announce what you have done. Not, I am applying for the senior position. But, I got the senior position. Not, I am working on a business idea. But, I launched my business. Not, I am thinking of leaving. But, I have accepted an offer. The announcement comes after the achievement, not before it, because the people around you, including the people who love you, respond differently to a done thing than to a planned thing. A done thing cannot be discouraged, cannot be undermined, cannot be redirected by someone else's doubt. A plan can. Protect the plan, Announce the result. Move 2. Master strategic ambiguity. This is not lying. I want to be very clear. When someone asks what you are working on, give them a true answer that is deliberately incomplete. I am exploring some interesting options. True. I have something exciting developing. True. I will share more when I have something concrete to show. True. None of these are lies. All of them protect what you are building. You are not being deceptive. You are being strategic about who gets access to your vulnerability at what stage of the process. Your plans belong to you until you choose to release them.
As you can see from the chart, our second quarter growth exceeded expectations. This was driven by our new market positioning. We are now looking at significant
Choosing carefully when and to whom you release them is not dishonesty. It is wisdom. Move 3. Test before you trust. Before sharing any significant plan with any person, even your safest person, run a test first. Give them one small piece of information, a fragment, something real but not critical, something you could afford to lose. Then watch. Does it stay between you? Does it travel? Does it come back to you through a third person? If the information stays contained, trust has been demonstrated by behavior, not declared by feeling. You can go deeper. If the information moves, you have learned something essential at a very small cost. Test before you trust. Evidence over emotion. Every time. Now I know this can feel uncomfortable. We live in a world that celebrates oversharing, that tells women to bring people along for the journey. But there is a difference between being emotionally open as a person and being strategically exposed as a professional. You can be warm, genuine, connected, and still protect what you are building until it is ready. A woman who is emotionally available and strategically private is not a contradiction. She is one of the most powerful people in any room. Now the research. Dr. Peter Gollwitzer at New York University ran landmark studies on what happens when people announce goals publicly versus keeping them private. The results were extraordinary. People who shared their intentions and received social acknowledgement were significantly less likely to achieve those goals than people who said nothing. The reason is neurological. When others affirm your plan, when they say you are going to be incredible, your brain registers that recognition as partial achievement. The social reality substitutes for the actual result. Your motivation drops before you have even started. You receive the applause before the performance, and then the performance never quite happens. And in competitive business, research confirms that companies maintaining strategic secrecy during product development launched 40% more successfully than companies who announced plans in advance, because the competition had no roadmap, no timeline, no head start. Your career is your enterprise. Your life is your enterprise. Protect its intelligence accordingly. Here is what I need you to sit with. Your dream is most vulnerable when it is still a dream, not because it is weak, but because it exists in a world of people who have not yet seen your proof, who are operating from their own limits, their own past, their own sense of what is possible. Sharing your unfinished plan with those people is not bravery. It is exposure without armor. The real bravery is protecting the dream until it can speak for itself. Sara Blakely knew this. She protected the baby. Christine Granville knew this. She protected her mission with her own blood. The women who built things the world said they couldn't. They all knew this. They were brilliant at looking like they were not doing anything in particular. And by the time anyone realized what they were doing, it was already done. You do not need permission to build in silence. You do not owe anyone a preview. The announcement comes at the launch, not at the planning meeting. Protect the seed. And when it is time, and you will know when it is time, let the whole world see the tree. This is Law 3 of 48, and every law in this series has been rebuilt for the professional woman who is done being caught off guard by how the game works. If this gave you something today, share it with a woman who just told someone her plan, because she needs to hear this before it costs her something she cannot get back. Subscribe and turn on notifications. Law 4 is coming, and it is for every professional woman who has ever talked herself out of something she deserved in a single conversation. I will see you then.